Live at 11 on the WHAS 1119. We're on the snow watch tonight. No kidding. It's been a day and night of weather that still has us talking. The day after damaging tornadoes, we've been getting waves of freezing rain, sleet, and then driving rain with even wind chill factors. And in just a few hours from now, the switch over to some snow showers. It's another April surprise. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I'm Doug Proffitt. So I know Colleen Peterson is eager to tell me, hold on, Doug, it's not going to be much.
Hold on, Doug, it's not going to be much.
I hear it.
There's only going to be a few flakes out there, and we're just too warm to see anything stick. However, it's a different story for the Northeast. The system that brought us tornadoes turned into a nor'easter, and we're on the backside of that system now, seeing that rain and the flood of some cold temperatures overnight tonight, which is why our atmosphere is cold enough to produce some sleet. And we're actually starting to see that transition, likely seeing some snow or sleet over Corydon right now. That's just west of Louisville, and that is moving off to the east. So we could see some here in just about maybe 20 minutes. I'll definitely keep my eyes on the metro cams that we have here in Jefferson County. So that'll be moving off to the east, just some light rain and some snow that's coming down over New Salisbury, as well as just south of Palmyra. Once we head over to southern Indiana, we're seeing some scattered light showers as well. We'll start to see that transition overnight tonight. Not going to see any impacts. It's just going to be a little bit of it, but I'll walk you through that forecast model here coming up. Doug?
Colleen, thank you. Now from that snow to our tornadoes. New tonight, the National Weather Service in Louisville has confirmed an 8th tornado touched down last night in central Kentucky. But in our area, tornado damage has been reported from southern Indiana down to Nelson County. Crews are going to be out again tomorrow to find out if some of the damage was from the same long-track tornado or possibly even more. And new tonight at 11, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear joined local leaders late today looking over the damage in Prospect here in Louisville. The governor confirming the storms leaving damage in 20 counties across Kentucky. The Governor Andy Beshear also saying one person died in Campbell County after a car crash caused by the weather. Right now, the National Weather Service believes the strongest tornado with some of the very worst damage is actually in Henry County. That's to our northeast up I-71, where about 20 people rushed to take cover in a gas station basement. Winds there reached 110 miles per hour, nearly an EF2 tornado. WHAS 1119's Alex Dieterer and photojournalist Addie Hill show us the damage from Prospect in Louisville to Henry County.
The storms have passed, leaving damage in the wake.
And I saw the winds and this tree out here blowing sideways, and that's when I knew it was bad, so I went to the basement.
Valero employee Lisa Gaines saw what was coming her way and quickly took shelter in the gas station with 20 other frightened people. Thankfully, because about 100 yards away, a business and a garage were in the path of destruction.
The garage that you see right behind me was built in 1974, and you can just see the tornado and storms took a number on it. There's actually still a truck and a tractor still inside of the garage. And if you keep going right there, you can just see a shed that was completely destroyed by the storms among all of these downed trees. But continuing on this property, you can see a garage and a home still standing. The homeowner, Steve, tells us that God was really looking out for him and his wife. They are completely unharmed.
Gaines also breathing a sigh of relief knowing her daughter and granddaughter were with her when the storm passed.
A lot of people taking shelter. It was scary. I was worried about people, yeah, because there's business back here that we lost, and then, barns and homes.
Leaving behind in Henry County what John Gordon with the National Weather Service thinks will be the hardest hit area by the storms.
Off the ground, there's a lot more wind. Once this thing is twisted and bent and torn, it starts flying like Mary Poppins. And I've seen debris today that was a half a mile downwind of sheet metal from barns and things.
30 miles away in Prospect, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear surveyed the damage of another EF1 tornado.
These storms and these tornadoes hit all parts of Kentucky. It was a true destructive weather system that has caused significant damage across the Commonwealth.
The governor touted the first responders who worked through the night and the kindness of Kentuckians.
People helping people, having pulled up in each other's driveways, trying to get the tarp over the roof before that hailstorm and next rain shower hits, trying to welcome people into their home, make sure that people have a hot meal, offer kind words and a hug.
Neighbors leaning on one another to continue piecing back together their towns. In Henry County and Prospect, Kentucky, with photojournalist Addie Hill, Alex Dieterer, the WHAS 11 Night Team on your side.
Well, today we did get a better understanding of the tornado's path. The National Weather Service says it first touched down in eastern Clark County, Indiana, near the East End Bridge, then came right across the Ohio River to Prospect and hit the riverfront homes on Beachland Beach Road. From the Sky 11 drone, you can see the debris dragging along the tornado's path. From there, it went through Prospect, hitting several neighborhoods like Hunting Creek. Anchorage Middletown Fire Chief Kevin Grudy said earlier today crews checked out more than 1,000 structures after the storm in the Prospect area. 59 had slight damage, 38 suffered minor damage, 37 of them considered major damage, and 5 were destroyed. A tornado also hit in Buckner and Oldham County. In this neighborhood, the tops of homes are now littered across other people's yards. And new tonight, Jeffersonville police giving their first detailed look at the widespread damage in Clark County after an EF1 tornado touched down. That's with 100-mile-per-hour winds. Police say the initial assessment shows 82 buildings and homes were impacted. 23 structures had minor damage in Jeffersonville. 9 had major damage, and 8 in Jeffersonville were destroyed. In neighborhoods of the eastern part of Clark County and Jeffersonville, families were out today working to pick up the pieces that are left. Jeffersonville Mayor Mike Moore told us the city would be there to help as they can.
I've had city crews out all through the night. We've cleared all of the streets with debris, trees that are laying down. We have put some dumpsters out in some of the more severely hit subdivisions, and our city crews will be happy to assist and help anybody that needs to get a tree into a dumpster.
At this time, Moore says cleanup efforts may take 1 to 2 weeks. Homeowners with damage, as he said, can call the city's streets department. If you give a name and address, city workers will come to you and help dispose of large debris and fallen trees there in Jeffersonville. Well, as communities clean up from those tornadoes, we're also today thinking about April 3rd, 1974. The historic super outbreak of tornadoes crashed right through Kentuckiana, including Louisville and Brandenburg, Kentucky. That town in Meade County lost 31 people from an F5 tornado that day. Meteorologist Alden German and photojournalist Aspen Hester covered a packed memorial late today, showing that 50 years later, April 3rd is still remembered.
31 lives, 31 bell tolls. It was 50 years ago on April 3rd, 1974, when devastation struck Brandenburg, Kentucky. 31 people lost their lives as Kentucky's only F5 tornado tore through the town. Today, they remembered and honored those lives.
I lost my parents to the tornado, and that day I had gone over to Mother and Daddy's house. I took Daddy to the bank and had lunch with Mother and Daddy, and then left. I had no idea that would be the last time I would see them.
The ceremony comes just a day after more tornadoes touched down through southern Indiana and Kentucky. The timing isn't lost on those who survived April 3rd, 1974. For those survivors, today brought back vivid memories of that dark afternoon.
Somebody was talking about the smell and the color of the sky, and I think a lot of people have reactions or memories that are very specific to what they sensed and what they heard.
Stories still shared even 5 decades later, some newly heard for the first time. Emotions still raw.
I can't go without mentioning my little bit emotional here. My Uncle Leck lived behind us, and he was carried through the air, and he lived to tell about it. But we lost a family member in that process.
Although a somber remembrance, community spirit and optimism for the future shine through, as well as gratitude for advancements in technology that saves lives today.
All of the radar and the Doppler and all of that stuff, we had no warning. There might have been a siren that went off at the firehouse, but by the time it went off, it was too late. The warnings we get now are just amazing how much time we have. 15 minutes can save several lives, and I think it's great. Also, I think more people are aware if the clouds start rolling in or you hear thunder or whatever, you respect it a whole lot more.
Reporting in Brandenburg with photojournalist Aspen Hester, I'm Alden German for the WHAS 11 night team on your side.
Solidarity with Brandenburg here in Louisville as today the city also hosted this special remembrance this morning, bringing back former mayor, 87-year-old Harvey Sloan, who helped oversee the city's rebuilding after the storm. The tornado hit the fairgrounds first, then went up through the Highlands and Cherokee Park, devastating that before hitting Crescent Hill and the brand new Northfield neighborhood. The former mayor, Harvey Sloan, said after the tornado, people didn't give up. They rebuilt businesses and stayed in their neighborhoods.
The great thing about the community was it wasn't how do we get out of here. It was how can we rebuild and get our lives together because we love this community. And that spirit just, permeated for a long time.
And I have to say, so good to see him back in town for this. So much has changed since 1974. You now get early warnings days in advance, like happened yesterday. In 1974, there were no early warnings. Our tornado siren system is much larger, and Louisville TV stations started hiring full-time meteorologists in 1975. We hired the beloved Chuck Taylor in that year. You can also subscribe to Louisville Emergencies notification system by texting the word Lens Alert to this number on your screen. It is 67283. That's all you have to do is text. And don't forget to always get the download the free WHAS11 app for watches and warnings. Today, WHAS11 News aired a 30-minute special presentation bringing out our remarkable archives and live coverage from April 3rd. We also retraced the tornado's path through Louisville from the air. 74 tornado 50 years later. You can watch it right now on the WHAS11 YouTube page. And I want to thank so many of you who've been contacting us through the night and telling us about your stories. Now to more local news on the night team. A victory for the mayor. A judge has dismissed a wrongful termination lawsuit against the city and Mayor Craig Greenberg. The lawsuit filed in mid-February claimed that Samantha Ricketts was fired after she raised ethics concerns over First Lady Rachel Greenberg's role in the mayor's administration. Ricketts claimed Rachel Greenberg was acting as a supervisor, and when she brought her concerns to a supervisor, her position was eliminated shortly afterwards. The lawsuit said the city violated Kentucky's whistleblower law. However, a judge ruled today there was no evidence that Ricketts made any ethics complaint against the First Lady. We asked the mayor about the victory late today.
And I'm pleased that the court quickly dismissed this case that had no merit. I also want to add, I am so proud of my wife and so thankful that Rachel, as First Lady, is willing to volunteer her time to support kids throughout this community, to try to work to improve education and join me in our efforts to make our city safer, stronger, and healthier.
And Greenberg went on to say that the First Lady will continue her role as an unpaid volunteer for the city. And the owner of Arkansas Derby winner Muth is suing Churchill Downs in hopes of getting the horse into the 150th Kentucky Derby. Muth is trained by Bob Baffert, who is currently banned from racing horses at the track following a failed post-race drug test by Medina Spirit. Zedon Racing Stables filed the suit yesterday, calling the track's ban against Bob Baffert illegal, and said the ban has no basis in law or in fact. A release from the stable claims the ban is instead fueled by a personal vendetta from Churchill Downs CEO Bill Karstanjian. Now, in a statement, Churchill Downs called the lawsuit meritless, saying in part, the same issues in this complaint have been decided by the courts and the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission, which have repeatedly upheld Baffert's suspension and the disqualification of Medina Spirit.